It's time for this.
Fuck, it's Gary Oldman. The best of the worst.
It's cool when you said let's rock because it made me want to rock.
I'm always naked. Meine Damen und Herren, liebe Kinder, Mesdames et Messieurs et vous les enfants, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone else on the gender spectrum, friends, strangers, welcome to episode 10 of Whitty Analysis of Feature Films and Light Entertainment Podcast. My name is Billy, and with me, the man himself, the jam to my peanut butter, the chalk to my cheese, the throbbing veiny shaft to my ever more distended set of dangleberries. It's your turn to speak now.
I was going to say my name's not Billy, but you... Oh, man. Fuck it, I'm going. That was an intro. You can do this yourself. You're fine.
Sean's here too.
My name's Sean.
Oh, and I have managed to record on the right microphone this time, so that's good. We got that. That's in the can. Fucking woo. Episode 10, baby!
10? Fucking hell.
I'm delighted. I'm very happy.
10 episodes in?
10 episodes in. Oh, it feels like a landmark. I'm really happy about it. Did anything arrive in the post for you today?
Oh, that I've noticed.
Well, something should have arrived in the post. You should be eating cake right now.
Oh, yes.
But bugger, it didn't arrive in time. Never mind.
Mind you, like, I've not been downstairs today because I live upstairs, so I might have something in front of my door. I don't know.
We'll check at the end of the podcast. Yes, so episode 10. We've fucking hell, 10 episodes of these things. This is brilliant.
That's a lot of hours of us talking shit.
It really is, isn't it? I mean, like, we've only put out about, 20 hours of it,
Yeah.
but there's at least 60 hours in the can that we've got.
There's a lot of extra.
Or whatever. There is. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 10. Thank you for sticking with us and listening to us all this way. Or if this is your first episode, welcome. Come in, sit down, and buckle up because we've got a lot to talk about. This week we are doing our tips. Get your tips out. Sean made me watch last week An Adventure in Space and Time. Then we're carrying on with our director series, and we're looking at Michael Bay this week because it's the 10th episode. So why would we do Tenet? We're doing Michael Bay. So the best rated film of his is The Rock. So we're going to do that in a film review section, and then the best of the worst, which is a section where we try and find the good things in much maligned films. The worst rated film for Michael Bay, with no surprises, is Transformers: The Last Knight. Although it could have been any Transformers film, really, couldn't it? So this could be an interesting one because we really do try and find the good stuff.
We do.
How are you this week then, bitch?
Well, I'm alright, bitch. How are you?
We don't usually call each other bitch, but Michael Bay.
Yeah. Yeah, you just consider yourself lucky I'm not making you wear a really tight top that accentuates your chest.
No, I'm wearing that voluntarily.
Oh man! So,
anything been on?
No, I was off last week. I had a week off last week, so got nothing done.
A week off.
A week off, yeah. Oh man, you're on fire today, Bill. You're on
Fucking
fire.
hell, it's episode 10, bitch. Michael Bay.
Bitch.
Bitch. This week, our podcast is brought to you by... Fucking stumped you there, didn't I?
Thought bubbles.
Thought bubbles.
I've got
You know when you have a real difficulty sorting out your thoughts and you've nowhere to put them, just pop them out your head and let them float around in space. That works, doesn't it?
So,
This
yeah,
has really stumped me. Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything
You'd
because I
be
was
better
thinking
off seeing the
thought
fucking
bubbles.
concept of time or something like that. That's a short advert for this week. Buy yourself some thought bubbles, put your thoughts outside. Pensive. Use a pensive like Dumbledore does. That's a better thing.
Aye, there we go.
Don't use thought bubbles. They'll just float off and fuck off into the distance. At least you've got a pensive. That's a fixed object that you can have in your kitchen. Just put that there, and then your thoughts can go out inside it. That's cool.
Just clearly mark it in case some people try to drink from it.
Yeah, so we're sponsored by Thought Bubbles, but get yourself a pensive.
Sorry about that one. I couldn't think of anything.
Start of podcast?
Yes, let's go.
Get your tips out for the pod. 4 minutes, Sean. Usually cut it down to 4 minutes. Fucking we are in this week. Our first section, Get Your Tips Out. Welcome to the Get Your Tips Out section. This is the one where me and Sean give each other homework. We do week about. So last week, Sean made me watch An Adventure in Space and Time. So I'm going to go through that, and then I'm going to give Sean some homework for next week. What'll it be? Not even I know at this point. So, so Adventure in Space and Time. This is it's about the making of Doctor Who, the first series, or a couple of series of Doctor Who, the first Doctor anyway, isn't it? William
Hartnell. I'm very intrigued. I'm really excited to find out what you think.
What's a pile of shit? No, this was okay. It was probably the most BBC thing I've ever fucking watched in my life. Oh my god, this is they fucking love that BBC building, don't they? I think that is still the BBC offices, isn't it? That's still where they...
I think some bits are still there, but they've moved all the production somewhere else.
Right.
But I think that happened at the time they started making this, so I think it was a bit of a love letter.
Aye, yeah. Like when they do love letters to Hollywood, only shit because it's just an office building in Britain.
Just a round building.
And yeah, I mean, it was very well done in the sort of period thing, isn't it? It's the period accurate costumes and cameras and sets and all that sort of thing. I thought as a biopic, it wasn't really taking any chances. It was quite a nice thing, so it was quite safe. Nice storyline about light workplace struggles, creating a family with a team, and then sort of mild personal tragedy in various different aspects, sort of thing. I thought it really handled the creation of the phenomenon of Doctor Who really well, with how Daleks permeated popular culture and all that sort of thing. And I only know about that from parents. Like my dad was massively into Daleks, and I'll maybe jump into that a bit later on about the story. Loads of Easter eggs, I think, for Doctor Who fans. I got a few of them, but those bits of score just snipped in every now and again. The way they do the titles, the with the light popping up, and I'm sure there was a bit with a face at one point, and that does happen in Doctor Who eventually, doesn't it? I think, aye. Like, no, it's way too scary. It's like, oh, that actually happens. Yeah.
It happened. I think the first time they did it was with the Doctor who replaced him,
right?
And then they brought it back a couple of years ago, and then they got rid of it again.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't hate this thing. It was entertaining enough to watch. It was good. Really brilliant performances throughout from, I think, everyone. David Bradley, always brilliant in everything you see him in, isn't he? But nuanced and really understated in this. There's a bit where he says, "I can do all this with a look," that classic line. Don't need all these words. And but he really does. Like in the next scene, he then does everything with a look. No, there is that. Jessica Raine playing Verity, really solid performance from her. I thought, she portrayed that character the way I think she probably should have been portrayed, sort of thing. So there's that. The feminist issues are always there, but never overplayed.
That's what I like about it.
She has a struggle, but it's never, this is a feminist film, now burn your bras and stuff like that. It was just very, very well handled, I thought. Same with the racism angle of it as well, with Sacha Darwin when he was playing the director. I forget Wallace, that's right. Yeah. Again, he's really good in this. And Leslie Manville playing the wife, Heather Hartnell. Yeah. She's the epitome of, I can do all this with a look, in this film. Because she has very little dialogue at all. It is all looks from her, but you get a lot from her. Like, you get loads from her. You can feel
the love and stuff and the support she has for him. Mm-hmm. You can feel it coming from her.
You can, yeah. So the only thing I didn't really like was Brian Cox. I know why he was doing what he was doing. I just really dislike that style of acting and that type of character. So pop, fuck you. So yeah, that wasn't really for me. I can see why Mark Gatiss wanted to make it. With given his affinity with the property, he went on to do. Was it Stephen Moffat and him went on to reboot sort of Doctor Who? Wasn't it? I think
he's been involved. He's done a lot of writing.
Right.
He wrote like the second or third episode when they brought it back in 2005. Yeah. He's played a couple of different characters, and then he was very involved with Stephen Moffat's stuff. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I thought it was a lovely thing for the fans, and as a Potterhead, it's way better than that dramatisation of J.K. Rowling's life that we got that you had to buy on DVD and was fucking god awful. So yes, I thought it was a really nice thing for fans of Doctor Who, if that's what you like, and it was interesting enough and held my attention with the performances. I think it probably helped that I watched it just at like the same night and just after Transformers the last night, and then when I looked at this, it was like runtime an hour and a half. Well, I'll be having some of this. Yes, thank you. Yeah. So it really did benefit from that. I could have done without Rhys Shearsmith at the end, I think.
Right.
That he kind of took me out of it as the next Doctor, like.
Yeah.
I get it, but it was probably cheap because Mark Gatiss is like, mate, come in here and do this thing. But I think a lesser known actor or somebody who didn't stand out as much as the next Doctor could have been a bit better for me there. But yeah, it was quite good. It was okay.
Do you know what it is? I think for someone who's not a Doctor Who fan, that's kind of
a ringing endorsement, is
it? That's probably the best you can get, because obviously as a Doctor Who fan, I was really excited for this because it came for the 50th anniversary.
Right.
So obviously it was perfect timing. Because obviously I've watched the very first episode. When they were shooting and creating the very first episode, I was seeing things that I recognised, and I did because I watched technically the second episode because they reshoot the pilot. I saw the second one before I even knew the original pilot existed.
Right. But
you can watch them both. They're both available to watch.
Right. Okay. I actually went in and tried to watch the first episode of this, and fuck me, did I not like this.
I was going to ask you if you did.
There was a following night because I was falling asleep whilst I was watching this anyway. So like the following night, I was like, right, you know what? I've got a bit of spare time now that we're recording a day later. I'll pop on the first episode and just see if I can get what some of that excitement was. I'm like, well, I'm way more excited by this biopic than I would have been by watching this Doctor Who episode. Jesus,
it's very, very of its time.
But yeah, my dad might like this. People who, because I'm pretty sure my dad will remember watching that first episode on TV.
Right.
I think I've mentioned before on this that my dad's a twin, and he's told me stories about how him and his twin had to share one of those really shit Dalek costumes that are in in this film.
Yeah.
And I've never seen it. I've never seen the actual costume that they always complain about having to share because they're twins. And when I saw it in this episode, I'm like, fucking hell. What a deprived childhood. Not only was that a shit thing, but you had to share one of those. I now feel why you were complaining about this all your life, Dad.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you appreciated that. Yeah. I'm glad because like I said, for someone who's not a Doctor Who fan, I think that's all you can expect to get out of it, because you're not going to have the sort of the connections. And
when I finished it, I was like, right, you know what? I'm going to just jump into new Doctor Who. I'll go and have a look at that. And see, and lo, it wasn't there. But if it had been there, Sean, you might have got me watching a bit of Jodie Whittaker Doctor Who after the last two tips that you've given me. So, good work.
I don't share the sentiment, but a lot of fans would probably say that's the worst ones you can watch. But I like them.
Right.
They're not as good as some of the other ones that have been out, but she's amazing. But the writing's not the best. But
right, because I think Moffat's left, hasn't he now as well? Like, I don't know how long ago that happened, but I think aye. A lot of people complain about that.
He's about 5 years now. There's been two series, but they've been years in between them. But yeah, Chris Chibnall, who wrote Broadchurch, and he's done a lot of Doctor Who stuff in the past. He's the showrunner now. But yeah, the writing's it's not great. It got better for their second series. But
keep meaning to watch Broadchurch. I'm going to see.
That's on Brit Box.
It is, yeah. I'm going to see The Father the weekend.
Oh,
and A Quiet Place Part 2.
I've heard great things about that.
I really liked the first one. I saw it in the cinema, and everyone shuts the fuck up, so it's brilliant. If there's one thing,
I watched that in my house, so it wasn't as cool. I wish I would have seen that in the cinema.
It's really good because you go in and there's people chewing down popcorn and nachos and stuff like that, and then that person who crunches a nacho as the film starts realizes, oh shit, I can't be doing this, and just quietly slides them under the seat. So. So anything else you want to say about Adventure in Space and Time? I think.
Yeah, no. I'm just, like I said, I'm glad. I was hoping you'd at least like it, and you did. So
yeah. The other one thing I was saying was I was going to mention, because maybe the listeners don't know this. I know you do, but I really like the idea of Doctor Who. Whenever you're explaining Doctor Who to me, that's some of my favourite things. And for the listeners, you won't know. But when we were first conceptualising this podcast, I'd slid in a little section that was Sean explains an episode of Doctor Who to me, because that's the way I want to digest Doctor Who. Because when Sean explains it, I like it. When I actually watch it, the very thing that Sean's explained, I don't like it. I just don't like the execution. But I like the idea of Doctor Who, so I think that's maybe why this... Well, I can see why you recommended it to us, and it sort of leans into that.
Well, that's what I was saying last week. I was just trying to think of something I could recommend Doctor Who-ish. And then I was like, I can't think of one episode that would get you in, because some of them are really good, but you kind of need to be in it, because a lot of the series, there's like an overriding story arc through a lot of the series. So it could be something that's mentioned that you might need to know for 4 episodes previous.
Right.
But so it's like trying to find that perfect episode to get you to watch. So I thought, why not this? It's,
this is good. So I'm always open to whatever you suggest, because I don't really have a choice in it. But I am always open to whatever you suggest. So I would take a Doctor Who recommendation should there be something available on a platform that I can use. So you ready for your tip then? So well, I did say this would very much depend, and it was more between 2 of the 3 that I've got in front of us. It would depend on how this conversation went.
Right.
There's a time travel one, which is Doctor Who-ish, but it's not that one you're getting. Because we leaned more into actors and performances and things like that when we were talking about this. A YouTube thing I've got for you.
Okay.
It's from a channel called Intelligence Squared. I don't know if you know them. It's a bit of a wanky title for a channel, I think. But they do some really good stuff. Dickens versus Tolstoy. I'll send you a link for this one, the one that I'm wanting you to listen to.
Right. I found the page.
So Dickens versus Tolstoy was the one you wanted going for. It's chaired, but it's a debate, basically. It's chaired by Bonnie Greer, OBE, who's an author and a playwright. And then on the Dickens side, you've got John Mullen. And then on the Tolstoy side, you've got Simon Schama.
All right.
So they sort of debate points merit for Dickens or Tolstoy. But what you have for both of them, backing both of them up, is a cast of actors who are portraying some of their chosen moments from Dickens and Tolstoy's books.
Right.
And for me, it's the power of acting to bring things to life, because you never hear, like Shakespeare's designed to be played. It's not designed to be read. If you read Shakespeare, you don't get it.
Yeah.
It's designed to be seen. It's designed to be interpreted through an actor, that sort of thing. So I thought you'd get a lot out of this, because you've got T. Hiddie himself, Tom Hiddleston, who we all know, Zoe Ashton off of Fresh Meat and things like that.
She's been in an episode of Doctor Who. She's actually there's a rumour going about that she might be taking over Jodie Whittaker. She's
really good, actually.
I love her.
She's a really good actor, fantastic. Timothy West is also in it. Julia Sawala, I think her name is. Yeah. I'll pronounce it wrong. So out of I think she did what was it, Ab Fab and stuff like that, and like loads of other stuff, stage and screen. And a young kid, Kit Kingsley, which was his acting debut, his professional debut. So the thing I really liked about this is that it really brings everything to life. And it's sort of, I thought it'd be really interesting to see what you think of it, given your acting background and things like that, and writing background, just to really see prose acted out, because it's not meant to be acted. Yeah. It's not written to be acted, so just to see what they do and see what you thought of it, I thought would be interesting.
That's proper. I don't know why I don't know of that, because that sounds proper interesting.
They do some really interesting stuff. Like I say, a bit of a wanky title, but like they've got some really interesting. The Power of Poetry one I really like as well. That's with Helena Bonham Carter, right? And then you've got so they read poetry out, but again, actors. You can see the power of acting in it, basically, you know, like, and it's not Daniel Day-Lewis where they're in character all the time. They do the bit, they do the performance, they commit wholeheartedly to everything that they're doing, and then they sit down and talk about it. It's like, so I think it's really interesting.
I found the one you suggested, so I've got it on my watch later.
You put it on, all right? I don't even send you the link then, even better.
I've got it. Fantastic. I just saw the thumbnail of Tom Hiddleston sitting there with a script in his hand. So
end of tips.
Aye.
Grand. Next section. Welcome to the film review section. This week we are getting right into Michael Bay, our chosen director. His highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't think I checked the score on it, is The Rock, off of 1996. So what we do with this one, we're not going to bother with non-spoilers for either of these, I don't think, because one's old and the other one no one's going to give a fuck about. Oh, we do swear in this, by the way. I mean, I know I've been saying bitch quite a lot, and you'll understand why later on. But
if our listener has listened to all 10 episodes, then they might know that by now.
Yeah, they should know, yeah. But it's nice to give a warning, 25 minutes into the podcast and say...
Just in case our second listener started, yeah.
So usually what we do is we give you a little bit of a synopsis of what this film is. You probably already know it. And then we'll just give you our general thoughts on what we think of it. And we might have pulled some things out that may be entertaining or whatever. So, Sean, film review section. Do you want to do a synopsis for The Rock, or shall I?
Yes, I can. It won't be as articulate and as entertaining as your introductions and stuff.
Mine's blank just now, so I'll just be making it up off the top of my bonds anyways.
That's kind of what I'll be doing, so yeah. Some disgruntled Navy guy, Army guy, Navy SEAL, that's what they said it was, yeah. He's pissed off with the way that some people have been treated, so he decides to take hostages on Alcatraz. Why not? That's what I'd do.
It's a clear plan.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's Ed Harris. Brilliant. The government decide we need to get some people in here. We need to, because what he's going to do, he plans on sending some chemicals up into the air, which will vaporize and basically just kill everybody. So they say, well, we need to get somebody who knows chemicals. Nicolas Cage, he's the guy. And then they end up recruiting Sean Connery, who plays a guy who escaped from Alcatraz. And they all go in and kick their ass. That's pretty much it, for want of a better phrase. But yeah, it sounds like a good plan. So yeah, Nicolas Cage is himself, and Sean Connery is himself.
Yeah, two very much I read my lines actors, aren't they? Those two, but Nicolas Cage reads them in a crazy way, whereas Sean Connery just rocks up and reads them on his mark.
But I'll spoil a little bit what I thought. I thought the chemistry was great. I thought they worked really well
I
together.
actually really love this film, unashamedly. You always say as well, like, don't have guilty pleasures. I just fucking love The Rock. And I forget every time. I mean, I own it, so I didn't have to buy this one. I own it, and it's in a box set with Gone in 60 Seconds. The director's cut as well, bitch.
Hey.
The director's cut of Gone in 60 Seconds. I have no idea what the theatrical...
Gone in 55
I have no idea what that means, because I don't really know what the theatrical cut was, because this is the only version I've seen, so... I have no idea. But yeah, I own The Rock, and I've always enjoyed watching it. And it's one of those ones you want to easy turn your brain off. Let's have a laugh at this thing. It's fucking great. I always forget how mental Nicolas Cage is.
Honestly, right? He's an actor that I like him. He's he has his moments. He has his over the top stuff sometimes, but I like him in films.
I love Bangkok Dangerous. I like a lot.
Never seen that.
It's probably the most Nicolas Cage, I think. Bangkok Dangerous. I could not get on board with going to see that jiu-jitsu film that he did earlier on this year.
I didn't even know that was a thing, but I want to see it.
Holy shit! One of his lines is, "I can fly too," and then he just does a flip and flies through the air. Like, fucking nuts. So this film, it cost $75 million and made $335 million, which is, this is why Michael Bay keeps getting to make films, because this keeps happening. So
people complain about him saying he's a crappy director. He's not. I mean, he has his moments, but
he does a certain thing.
One of my favourite films is one of his films.
Oh, it's Armageddon, isn't it?
Armageddon.
Yeah, I love Armageddon. I cried at Armageddon. I was a child, but I didn't cry at Armageddon.
Yeah.
I haven't cried.
I love that film. It was the one he did after this.
In fact, I think Armageddon was the first film I remember crying at. I think because I would have been about...
I think mine was Forrest Gump.
I would maybe been about 12 or something, yeah.
I like Michael Bay films. They're very Michael Bay films. One of the first things I've written down, you've been noticed, it's a Bay film, all right.
Yeah, well, you do that. I mean, straight up top, you've got Michael Bay. I've just written down Michael Bay's military bonus showing again, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I forgot about the setup. I thought it started off with Nicolas Cage on the rooftop fucking his wife. There's some bonkers fucking dialogue in that scene as well, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
What the fuck is going on there? I mean, I know... you say weird things during sex. I sometimes make a concerted effort to say the weirdest things I can. but it sounded like they were trying to have a conversation, and it was just bonkers.
It was. And I mean, obviously, they're celebrating. She's found out she's pregnant.
Yeah.
I do like his sort of reaction when she tells him, and it's just like it's the most kind of 90s sort of film reaction.
Aye.
And like, I've written it down here. Where is it? I'm gonna have to. Yeah, so that's it, because it's like they're having a baby, but then they're worried that they're not even married. It's like, give it 20 years, no one's going to give a shit about that.
I don't even think
No
anyone
one's
gave a
married.
shit then. No one's married, no one's giving a shit. Like, well, she was Catholic, wasn't she? That was the problem,
Well,
I think.
that adds to it, so yeah.
I think they had to add that. They had to add that I'm a Catholic line, because although everyone would have been like, we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Just have the baby. He seems to be doing all right for himself. I mean, you might get blown up, and then you'll just get a cracking pension from the FBI. You'll be fine, love. Don't worry
you'll
about
be
that.
all right. It might be better if he doesn't come back after this mission.
But I forgot, because I watched Transformers first, and we'll get into that later, but I forgot how fast-paced this is. It's really snippy.
Right.
Like, the scenes are short, you get your setup, there's a lot of action. It's action from the off. Like, he doesn't let you sit about, Michael Bay. He keeps things moving, doesn't he? Which I was grateful for him for, actually, in this, because it's quite a long film. It's still 2 hours. I didn't realise. I always thought it was about an hour and a half. It's a very 90s film in its attitudes to the women as well. It's like, well, we need women so that the men have something to care about. And that's pretty much...
And I think there's literally... Oh, shit. Knocking me thing again. Because if we talk about, like, films before, well, now, where it's like... how women are treated and things like that. So I made an effort to say, well, let's just not focus on it. Watch the film, because it'd been years since I've seen it. But just watch the film, remind myself what it's like. But then I noticed there's one woman's name in the opening credits. There's about 25 guys. And there's literally like maybe 5, 6 women in the entire film.
Yeah.
And only one of them has more than maybe 5 lines of dialogue. And that's Cage's wife.
If you'll indulge me a second, I'm going to mansplain the Bechdel test.
All right.
Just in case our listeners wonder why we keep going on about women not having any agency in films and things like that. The thing that really sort of opened my eyes, and it's not the best metric for whether a film's good or not, or whether a film has a feminist that, cares about women, because there are great films that don't pass the Bechdel test, and there are crap films that do. But just the next time you're watching a film, apply this test. Is there more than one woman? Is there more than one woman? Is there more? I can't mansplain this, can I? Is there more than one woman in the film? Do the female characters talk to each other? And when the female characters talk to each other, if you get this far, by the way, because this film fails at the second hurdle, but if you do get this far, do the female characters talk about anything other than the male characters? And you will be surprised how many films fail that very simple test. But the real telling thing is if you apply it the other way to the male characters, within the first 10 minutes of the film, you've passed the opposite test with men, haven't you? So, of almost every film.
But yeah, this film doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't do too well.
It doesn't. But I mean, I feel like I need to explain it because we do sort of mention things, and I often get conscious that people don't really think about these things as much as we do because they don't watch as many films or aren't looking at it from the same sort of aspect. I never did until someone pointed out to me and I was like, oh shit, yes, this is quite bad.
To be honest, I just usually watch films to watch films and obviously growing up when I did a lot of the stuff I was watching was at a time where unfortunately women and things like that didn't get a fair shake when it came to...
The reason why I point it out is because it's about representation, and representation is important. Like, it's very easy for me, and it's very easy for all white men, because we've gone to every film throughout the whole of our lives and saw ourselves represented on screen.
Yeah.
But it makes a huge difference if you're not a white bloke. And then you finally see, a Diego Luna on screen and go, fuck. I heard a great story about that in Star Wars when some guy took his dad to see Star Wars, and his dad cried, held his son's arm and said, he looks like us.
That's amazing.
When they saw Diego Luna on the screen, it's really powerful, and you can't see it from their perspective until someone really points it out to you that way, really. You don't think about it because you just have it all the time. Anyway, people know where we're coming from now, don't we? I really like David Morse.
I like him in loads of stuff. He's one of those guys that just pops up and he's great.
Yeah.
There's a film with Shia LaBeouf, Disturbia.
Yes, he's a bad guy, isn't it?
He's amazing in that film.
He's brilliant in that. He's brilliant in everything he ever does. He's one of those really good character actors. And I was really glad to see him here, and I forgot his turn at the end. Because as it was going through the film, I was like, I'm sure he gets more to do. And then at the end, you're like, oh yeah, he sacrifices himself to save the day. I remember that.
But I also loved seeing Dr. Cox from Scrubs, John C. McGinley.
All right, I don't.
He's
Scrubs.
he's the bad guy Marine who gets set on fire by Sean Connery and goes off the thing. He's in that. I've just seen him in Scrubs and some comedies. It was great seeing him in this. Totally forgot he was in this.
Right.
As a badass Marine.
Oh, is he the Rocket Man? Is he? Is that?
No, so he's the guy that gets sent over the side. Get Sean Connery.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the score is very Speed, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually got down here. There's a bit of the score that reminded me of the when is it? There's a specific bit that reminded me of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right. Well, I got halfway through my notes and I just wrote down very Bruckheimer.
yeah.
That's all it is. It's just it is a formulaic Bruckheimer film, isn't it? You can just tell a mile off. Like, oh yeah.
It's when Cade is chasing Sean Connery through the hotel. Mm-hmm. There's just a part of that score which is just like that's Pirates of the Caribbean.
It probably is. I was meant to check who wrote the score, but I actually didn't because I just thought.
Yeah, I was as well. I totally forgot.
I just thought they've hired someone to churn out one of these generic 90s movie scores, haven't they? Not to play down what they did. They work really well, and it's played all the way through. There's a lot of it though. There is a lot of it.
I thought the score at the beginning was really cool. I liked it at the very beginning.
I just thought at the end it was a Speed tribute.
I've got it. The score is. I did write it down. Right, one of my first lines. It's Nick, Glennie Smith, and Hans Zimmer.
All right, okay, and Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, both of them are credited.
There's something good in this as well that I noticed as well was when Goodspeed makes his first kill. I say Goodspeed, fucking Nicolas Cage, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he makes his first kill, you really feel that.
Oh yeah.
Like, he plays that really well. Like, it's like, oh, there's a moment, isn't there? Yeah, well done with your acting there, Nicolas Cage.
Well, you can sort of see his because I like when he goes to interview Sean Connery's character. Mm-hmm. And I like how he's trying to act the big FBI guy, but you can tell he's really not comfortable in that situation.
No.
And he's like, "Oh, can we get the handcuffs off him?" And the cops on the other side of the mirror going, "No, we can't get his fucking handcuffs off him."
I never actually remembered how awkward he was in this. I always thought it was Nicolas Cage and he was really cool. But then now he does play the bumbling sort of Clark Kent of this situation, doesn't he? Sort of thing, yeah.
There's one thing I kind of annoyed me a little bit about this. To be honest, I mean, I like the film. There's not much I don't really. It's just a fun action film. But the whole bit about the whole chasing him through the hotel and things, and the car chase through San Francisco, getting Sean Connery to join. It's like I was thinking, do we need all this? Because why can't they just go to Alcatraz already? Why are we getting this whole thing?
I know. I actually. Oh, sorry.
No, but then obviously, it's like you see him. He's escaping. I thought it was like to reconnect with his daughter before he goes on the mission. That's kind of the way I saw he wanted to reconnect with his daughter. But then I was thinking, well, if he escaped just to reconnect with his daughter, why didn't he say, right, you want me to do this mission for you? I want to see my daughter first. Why didn't he make that a demand to do the job?
Well, because if he played his hand, they would have known. I mean, I fucking don't need to explain it to him, but let me mansplain this. If he played his hand, then they would have known that's what he wanted, and they could have said no. Whereas if he just takes that for himself because that's what he actually wants, then he's got more chance because they're not expecting him to do what he did, I suppose. Yeah, but also. Yeah. I was looking at this and looking at the budget because this is where I looked at the budget. And it was a fun bit of action. I mean, that's the real reason. The real reason is they wanted an action scene in San Francisco. But before they went to that movie set of Alcatraz, because it was just all indoors then, wasn't it, pretty much for the next 45 minutes?
Exactly, yeah.
So they wanted the big bombastic action thing to put in the trailer. But I actually thought when I looked at the budget, I'm like, 75 million? This looks way more expensive than 75 million. It's because it's all actual stunts and just crashing cars. It's cheaper than all the CG that you put into films these days. And obviously there's inflation, but I mean, even that, adjusted for inflation, what's 75 million now? 120? It looks more expensive than Transformers. It's a really good. There's a lot of money on the screen, sort of thing. One of my negatives was they definitely have hero shields on, Connery and Cage. Because they would have been shot in the head so many times. Like, they find any other character and just shoot them dispassionately straight away. But Nicolas Cage, they put them in cells. No one's even watching the cells. There's one guy just leaning back in a chair and lying on a bed in one of the rooms, listening to two of the characters argue. It's like, why aren't you the guy outside the cells?
Yeah.
Stopping an escape artist who's already escaped from Alcatraz, escape from the cells again. But
I mean, because I was thinking especially about Nicolas Cage, considering he's had no field experience, and then his first field experience is this. Talk about the deep end.
The first field experience he takes,
and he's one of the only two survivors.
Takes down an entire unit of fucking Marines and mercenaries and stuff like that. Like, I am sure he does. And he's like, oh, I'm just a bumbling guy. Like, fucking hell. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's ridiculous. And also, very bad negotiations when they get cornered. You know when his unit all pop up and they're in the middle of that room and they're surrounded by the bad guys and it's like, we have the high ground, Anakin. But then they've all got guns trained to them and then basically he's just like, put your guns down and we won't shoot you. And they're like, no, we're Americans. And he's like, put your guns down and we're going to shoot you. You have one chance. He's like, I'm just going to shout louder and say we're Americans again. It's like, mate, negotiate, please.
I've written down though, I like that little standoff, especially when it got heated. When he's like, "I will not give that order for whatever reason." It was like, "You can't handle the truth." It was sort of like not on that level, but I kind of liked it. But
to me,
what's his name? Michael Biehn from.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like, you can't write this dialogue. That's what it's not like. You can't handle the truth. It's like, you can't write this scene. You're just going to make people shout louder and hope the actors are going to sell it. And they did sell it. You've got Ed Harris and Michael Biehn shouting at each other. It worked.
There was another bit I kind of like some of the random lines, and I didn't realise this to begin with.
I've got some quotes down, yeah. So
there was a bit when he's just like, "How in the name of Zeus's butthole did you get that out of your cell?" And I was stealing my own trivia again. What just stepped on me trivia? Nicolas Cage ad-libbed a lot of his comedy dialogue.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise that his character purposely doesn't swear a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's just little bits like that, and I just loved some of the random lines that he said, and it's just freaking funny.
What do you say we cut the chit chat? A-hole. That one.
Yeah. But there's another bit. It's actually one of Sean Connery's lines, and I've done my own little weird version of shorthand here, and I can't figure out what I was trying to write.
All right.
So it was like, Nicolas Cage asks him something, like, and he's like, "Do you understand?" or whatever it was, and he just goes, "Yes, perfectly okay, you fucking idiot." It's just so aggressive.
I usually hate Sean Connery. He's a Gary Oldman for me, only I don't think he's good. Like, I think Gary Oldman's good, but I don't like watching him. I don't think Sean Connery's good. I think he's total dog shit, and I hate watching him usually. But in this, I think he was funny. So that's good for me. One of mine I've got here is Goodspeed's what's his name, Nicolas Cage's character says, "Are you enjoying this?" And Mason replies with, "Well, it's certainly more enjoyable than the average day reading philosophy, avoiding gang rape in the shower room. Though it's been less of a problem these days, maybe I'm losing my sex appeal."
Yeah. Oh man. I thought he landed the comedy brilliant because he just did so deadpan. He's just like,
there's another one where they're getting briefed before they go in as well, and the army commander's going, "You breathe, he breathes with you. You piss, he helps." What the fuck? Out of context, that line's just weird.
I don't think so, mate.
Or when they're first saying who Ed Harris is, and they're all in that sort of boardroom with all the army guys, they're like, "Oh, what are we going to do?" This guy's like, 3 Purple Hearts, 2 Silver Stars, and the Congressional Medal of Jesus. I really enjoyed some of the lines in this. Absolutely fucking brilliant. I mean, shit, but brilliant.
Yeah. There's a bit where, obviously, they say that Sean Connery's character's from Glasgow and all that kind of stuff, and he gets called an English prick. And I was just like, yeah, that's Scotland.
I was waiting for him to come back on that, though, but he just kills the guy and walks off. He didn't even mention it.
The guy says, but then the guy says,
"I'm Irish.
I'll tell you my dad's from Ireland."
Or something like that. It's irrelevant information, fella.
So the other thing that I quite found a bit strange in this film. So Nicolas Cage is defusing the second rocket, and he's pulling the little green ball things out of the thing. and then this Marine just sort of like Spider-Man's in front of him, like upside down, and then gives him a fright. You know what he's handling there, mate. You know what that thing's capable of. Why are you giving him a fright?
A boo.
No, mate. It's like, let him take it out very carefully and put it down, then try and kill him. Because you're just going to die, mate. If he drops those balls, you're fucked.
You are fucked, yeah.
What I did like about this one, like the bad guy, I put it in quotes because obviously he does kind of redeem himself at the end. Mm-hmm. But I like how he's a bad guy, but with good reasons.
Yeah.
Like what he's going for, brilliant. You're going about it the wrong way, mate.
No. But, it is that thing. The best villains are those that think they're right, aren't they? You know.
Yeah, definitely. It's like we have to talk about her, but it's like Ruth from Snowpiercer.
It's like Darth Vader, just maintaining order through the galaxy.
Yeah, it's how you go about it.
He's an establishment guy. He's just Ruth.
Yeah, but it's like, yes, you want the people who died for the country to be remembered, and their families to be compensated, or all that kind of stuff. Just don't hold up an island full of tourists and threaten to kill half the country.
You went a UFC tournament and win the prize pot, like Tommy did in Warriors. Yeah. That's what you do.
Or just write a nice letter to your government.
Take a leaf out of Tom Hardy's book. Campaign and stuff like that. That's a real way of doing it.
No, but let's talk about films. Yeah, just do what Tom Hardy did and just don't do what Colin Farrell did in the other one.
No. In Pride and Glory.
Glory, that's it.
Gavin O'Connor.
And I did like how the main bad guy dies before a lot of his cronies do.
Yes,
that you never see that in films. That's quite a cool little take.
Like the main guy, he's out of it completely, but we've created even worse guys now because the main bad guy wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah, and they've sort of bought in hook, line, and sinker to what he was wanting, and now that's all they're about. And I liked how the guy who Nicolas Cage sticks the ball in his mouth and makes him choking the poison.
That's good. I thought he was Sully from Commando, but he's not. I was quite disappointed.
I was just going to tell you who he is, because I watched an episode recently. Believe it or not, Friends is still on every single TV channel. He plays Phoebe's boyfriend in Friends, who's the restaurant guy. He's the guy that closes down all the restaurants.
Oh no, sorry, I was thinking a different guy. Sorry, yeah, that's right.
I've got a bit of trivia for you. It's time for this. John's Trivia Corner. This was Michael Bay's second ever film that he made after Bad Boys, which was his first ever film, obviously.
Started off pretty well then, didn't he? Oh, what the fuck's happened?
Yeah. Before he directed all these films, which we know and quote-unquote love him for, he directed an absolute boat ton of music videos. And I didn't know that's how he started his
that's
career.
why you get a lot of ass close-ups in all of his films, because that's what he's used to.
He thinks he's still doing, So Bad Boys was his first film. This was his second. And Armageddon was his third film. And he did a couple of other music videos in and around that as well. But he did music videos. He did Meatloaf's Battle of Hell 2. He did Meatloaf, Objects in the Rearview Mirror. He's done another Meatloaf one. You can kind of, thinking back to any Meatloaf music video I might have seen, Rock and Roll Dreams Come True, they're very Michael Bay. Especially about I'd Do Anything for Love, that one. Yeah. That is a Michael Bay film.
There's a lot of that low-angle spinning camera in this, isn't there? That sort of looking up at the main character and moving around in a circle in a big sort of airfield.
And the sort of the sunset kind of filter of the film. The president that turns up in this film near the end, he's uncredited. But he was played by Stanley Anderson, who also played the president in Armageddon. But in both films, Armageddon and this, he obviously plays the president. In both films, he gives a very rousing speech. Armageddon's speech is a lot longer and a lot more but about humanity in both films. There was 3 uncredited writers in this film. Tarantino, Jonathan Hensley, and I didn't check what he did, I should have, and Aaron Sorkin were all uncredited as having a bit to do with this.
Right. Oh, wow.
The film premiere was in the recreation yard on Alcatraz.
Okay, that makes sense. It's the 90s. Things cost less to do big things.
And Alcatraz was kept open to the public when they were making this film, so a lot of visitors were watching the film being made, but then they had to stop that because of legal reasons. I think I've realised I've just stopped writing in my notes, but but I think it was something to do with legal reasons. Plus, it was kind of holding up, distractions and stuff like that. So they closed Alcatraz to finish. And the script, like we kind of touched on this before, Michael Bay said the script was a lot more serious, and a lot of the sarcastic, humorous lines were all improvised.
Oh, why so serious?
um,
I mean, the thing is, it needs to be a bit lighter, though. And the good thing about them being improvised is Michael Bay can't do jokes. So I did find it weird that this is as funny as it was, like The Rock. Because we know that Michael Bay isn't funny. And when he tries to be, it doesn't work. So I found it really weird that I was laughing quite a lot in this film. And with things that you're meant to laugh at, I'm like, it doesn't feel like a Michael Bay film. But then he did really do well with Bad Boys and things, and this, didn't he? So, who knows?
There's quite a bit of humour in Armageddon that I appreciate as well. Like, especially Steve Buscemi's character. But Michael Bay wanted the Zeus's butthole line cut. He didn't want to keep that in. Nicolas Cage insisted it stayed in, and he got his way. So,
as if that's the fucking hill you die on, Nicolas Cage. I love him.
And, well, last one. The film was dedicated to Don Simpson, the producer who died during production. He was 52. He died of heart failure, but he produced other films, big films that people know about, including Flashdance, Beverly Hills Cops 1 and 2, Top Gun: Days of Thunder, and Bad Boys.
You love her.
And then this was the last thing he did, and he died during the film.
Beverly Hills Cop. I watched them last year again, just because
I haven't watched them.
I was like, oh yeah. Well, Eddie Murphy was coming back, wasn't he, with Dolomite Is My Name and things like that. I was like, I'm going to get juiced up for this by watching Beverly Hills Cop, and then I never watched Dolomite yet.
You got anything else you want to add about this before we shift on?
That'll do for me, I think. But I like The Rock, and somehow Michael Bay's gone awfully downhill. Or maybe I've grown out of Michael Bay. Maybe that's what it is. Well, I'm not entirely sure what's happened. But
I've heard are really good. Like Pain and Gain, I've heard is good, but I've never seen it. Is it the...
Well, I have seen Pain and Gain, and I really enjoyed it up until the last 5 minutes, where it says, this is all based on a real true story, and I'm like, that's very insensitive, Michael Bay, to be making this film the way you did in that case. Fuck you, you absolute bastard. When you watch the film, you will understand why I say that. But he has done something I've liked, and The Rock probably is my favourite, so I would agree with the consensus on this, I think. Rock is best Michael Bay film. Next section. Get another beer, go for a piss, do you reckon, first?
Aye. Sorted.
Resume podcast. I really liked that the last week when I said end it. When I was listening to it, I was like, end of podcast. Okay. Get in. The best of the worst. This is the section of our little podcast in episode 10, because I'm so jazzed that we're in episode 10 already this week, where we take the worst rated film of our chosen director, Michael Bay, this week, and we try and find the good things in it. Last week we did Tenet for Nolan, and I found that very easy. In fact, we talked for about 3 hours. This week, my list is much shorter. Before we are looking at Michael Bay's Transformers The Last Night off of 2017, which cost anywhere between 217 and 260 million as far as I can tell. Who cares though, what's a few million between friends? So we'll give you a synopsis for this one. We usually try and slightly different format for this one. We'll give you synopsis, then we go through the good, then the bad, and then we've got some trivia, quotes, and I'll read out some reviews.
I was going to say, I'm the fucking ugly when it comes to this.
Aye, the good, bad, and the downright fucking Michael Bay. So, do you want to do a synopsis for this one, bitch, or shall I?
Nah, you crack on, bitch.
All righty then. So this one, bitch, is Michael Bay's Transformers The Last Night, and it is a fucking lot of story because it's 3 films. There was a big writer's room. They wrote 3 films, and then Michael Bay goes, "Yeah, I'll do that." All as one film. So you've got Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and that's real somehow. And you've got Cade Yeager from the last film. He's got Dinobots, and he's at a scrapyard, so there's that. There's a little child who is definitely young enough that Michael Bay will let her keep her clothes on this time. She comes into it and starts running around with Cade Yeager. Then there's a woman who's in Britain. There's she's another person, so there's that. So you're about 45 minutes in of setup before anything really happens. There's also Autobots, so there's Decepticons are on the move somehow. They want to escape and they want to find the thing, because there's a MacGuffin in this, obviously, as there is in all these films. Then you've got Autobot, what's his name, Optimus Prime. He's gone back to Cybertron to try and save it, and there's somehow gods there, and she's like, well, I'm going to make you a bad guy. So then she makes him a bad guy, but not for too long. And then he comes back, but by the time he comes back, you've completely forgotten what the fuck's going on with that storyline anyway. Submarines, Anthony Hopkins, dragons, Dinobots, big stuff, flashy, splashy. Everything goes off, and then Cybertron crashes into Earth. But yet the thing about the destroying Earth, and that definitely is going to destroy Earth, doesn't happen because reasons. And then they all say the day and fuck off home, and then there's a tag at the end that says there's another Transformer film coming, but it only made $605 million this one, so there isn't another Transformers film coming. Is that what happened in this film, bitch?
Yeah, pretty much. that was the bitch of the crux of the matter.
The reason why I'm saying bitch so much is because every fucking character says bitch in this. The writing in it is absolutely fucking terrible, and they make Anthony Hopkins say bitch and bitching multiple times. It's total bullshit. I know I always say to you, I don't notice swearing, but I notice swearing when it's out of place or out of character, and I also notice swearing when they're trying not to swear.
Well, it's hard not to notice something when you're being twatted over the head with
it. Yeah, when it's being rammed down your throat like an unwanted penis.
Does that happen to you often?
Oh, yeah, I keep doing it to myself. You know, it's amazing what you do in your sleep.
Oh, man.
End of podcast. Yeah, did you find any good bits in this show?
I did. Not a lot. I haven't seen the one that came before this.
Well, you are lucky, because I would actually say that is worse than this. This is better for my money.
Right.
That is...
What one's that called again?
That one is the... No, it's...
Dark Side of the Moon.
No, that's 3. The fourth one is Dinobots. It's the Age of Extinction.
Age of
Extinction is that one.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's fucking really bad.
After the third one.
I really liked 1. I didn't really like 1. I liked that we had real life Transformers and we could see them. I was like, fuck me, this is amazing. But then I came out the film, I'm like, it wasn't really good, but there was Transformers in it, so cool. And I went to see the second one, I'm like, that wasn't very good. And then I went to see the third one, I'm like, I'm back on board. This is okay. And then I went to see the fourth one, I'm like, they've got fucking Dinobots. I'm definitely in for this one. This is going to be some great explanations to why Dinobots are a thing. And then I went and I'm like, I'm so bored. Like, I wanted to leave, but I'd paid money, and it was like 3 hours long. The fourth one, I'm like, so bad. And then at one point they completely give up on the Transformer effects, and they just use blocking for it.
Right.
So they render the blocking so that and then just explain it away by Stanley Tucci going, "We've developed a new type of Transformer that is just blobs."
One thing I noticed about when they're transforming, they don't just like do it on this one. They kind of do like breakdancing to get into it. Like they all kind of flip into it or flip out of it and like spit on their hands and then.
Yeah. It's a horrible thing that he's done with Transformers, actually, I think.
I did like the first one. Second one, not so much. Third one, I did like. I thought it was all right. Fourth one, how many is there? Yes, fourth one I haven't seen. This one, I loved Bumblebee, but Michael Bay had fuck all to do with that. So
Well, yeah, everyone was excited about Bumblebee coming out, wasn't it? And I thought Bumblebee was okay, but
It's probably the best of the Transformers.
Yeah, I think so. Had Bumblebee been given the budget of this film, then that could have been something really special, I think.
But this one, fucked it. It's weird because, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't know if they're all four, but at least the last, like this, maybe the third and fourth, or the second, third, and fourth, all crossed $1 billion at the box office.
I've actually got it all here because I checked it and took a screen grab so that we could bring it up in here so we could talk about it. So, you have Transformers, The Dark of the Moon is the highest grossing, over $1 billion, 1.124. Age of Extinction was 1.1, so they were riding high, pretty much coming off the last, so the two before this one. They were like, right, over $1 billion. And then this one, half of that. This one was 600 million. So we voted with our feet on that one. We were like, we did not enjoy Age of Extinction, so we are not going to see this one.
Because that's the thing, like, even like after the second one, folk were complaining about Michael Bay having his hands on these films. So, well, stop going to fucking watch them. That's why and then people started to listen after the
people did start to listen to that, didn't they? Yeah, but it takes everyone a long time to realise, because people go in hoping, right, well, they must have listened to me this time. Surely they wouldn't make another film this way.
The only thing film producers hear is the ka-ching.
That is it, yeah.
That's fine, because it's a business. That's all they need to care about, making money so they can make more films.
Yeah. Anywho, the good stuff of this film.
Yes. This has got fuck all to do with the actual plot or anything.
Yeah.
But I loved how fireballs came over the Paramount sign at the start and then just landed in the battlefield in medieval England. So I did like that.
I was actually thinking that scene didn't look too bad.
Yeah, well,
until they started weirdly edited to get away from it and start bringing Transformers, but like it wasn't Gladiator Ridley Scott level.
No.
But it was okay.
But I've got here, I might like to see a Bay-directed medieval war film.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'd rather see someone else do it. I'd rather see Michael Bay be given 10 million and see what he can do with it. That's where I am with Michael Bay. Like, make him work for it. So give him 10 million.
I did like the score. I thought the score was all right.
I hated the score.
Oh, really? Oh, hey.
Just because
That's good.
Just because it's just another Transformers score, and it's a lot of it, and it doesn't really do anything. It's not inventive. They just paid someone to redo that Transformers score.
Right.
So it doesn't really build anything. It fits in the film, which is the best thing I can really say about the score.
Well, I just thought the music itself was a decent tune. I thought it was decent tunes. I thought it just kind of fitted. But like you said, maybe it's because it is a Transformers score. Yeah. So maybe that's why I thought it fit. One thing I did love about this film, and maybe I shouldn't, but I couldn't help it, I freaking love Cogman.
I fucking hated Cogman.
I just fucking love that dude. I don't know why. I just loved it. He just legging it about the place.
He was another one as well. Like they've got children saying "bitch" all the time, like little children this time as well, not like teenagers, like little children saying "bitch" to each other. And then they've got that Cogman thing, who's a violent sort of. He's that violent version of C-3PO from Dr. Aphra, which I can't remember the name of now. 000. Sorry, he's like 000 from Dr. Aphra, but not in a good way, and also, so he doesn't really seem to have agency and things like that. And what I was saying before about it really annoys me when they're trying not to swear. He had one at the end where he says F you or something, or F something. I'm like, just say fuck. It's a 15 rated film anyway. This isn't for children. Just say fuck. Everyone's saying bitch all the time. Just say fuck. Sorry.
I don't know what it is. I just love them. I just thought it was just some of the how he just kind of was slag off Anthony Hopkins at times, but then how he kind of loved.
Did you like of all the Earls I've had the pleasure to serve, you are by far the coolest. Did you like that line? Did you?
I did, but not like. Like, oh, that's great writing. Just because it was just stupid.
It's when they do.
It was that kind of like. It was like one you shouldn't like. You just do, and it doesn't matter.
It's when they do lines like that. Like in other films, in a better film, that would feel like an homage to Star Trek, wouldn't it? Because it's all that like of all the beings I've ever served with, you are by the far the most human. That's the line. But
but that's the thing. Like, if this was actually like presented as a comedy, maybe. But it was one of those things where it's like, you probably shouldn't, but it's like this is a guilty pleasure. Because I know I always say, like, I don't feel guilty for liking what I like. Cogman's a guilty pleasure. I don't mind saying that. But I did like Anthony Hopkins in this as well, just because he was so not Anthony Hopkins.
I fucking hated Anthony Hopkins. In my positives, I wrote down Anthony Hopkins. Because I saw Anthony Hopkins on the screen and he started doing a voiceover at the beginning. I was like, Anthony Hopkins, that's got to be a positive. I'll leave that there because I can't think of anything else just now. And I carried on watching the film. I was like, but not really. It's just that Anthony Hopkins is in it. His performance is so uneven, and that's just bad directing. Because Anthony Hopkins is a fucking phenomenal actor.
Oh, yeah.
For him to give an uneven performance, it's Michael Bay's fault.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, there's times he does seem like he's very serious, and he seems a bit overly trying to be funny. But I just, because I liked it in terms of the fact I don't think I've seen Anthony Hopkins act that way. So maybe that's why I liked it, because he just seemed not Anthony Hopkins. So, that's different. That's cool. But yeah, it's just I don't know what it is. Those two together, I just like them.
Right.
And I know I probably shouldn't, but
I mean, like what you like, and if it made you enjoy the film more, then great, because I got none of this out of that. Everything. That's why I was like, when I basically I text Sean earlier on today saying I really hope that you loved this film because I've got a very small list of positives. And Sean's like, yeah, it was like, so I'm glad to hear that you got way more out of it and got more out of even the things that I didn't like.
Do you know what? It's probably because I went into it not expecting to get anything out of it. Because I hadn't seen this one until I watched it like a couple of days ago. So.
Well, I think there's other things like Cade Yeager. I already hated him with a passion from Age of Extinction, and he's the worst person in the world.
Well, I hated him because of his name. That's such a friggin' 90s action hero name. That is just.
I'm going to do a positive.
Yeah, I didn't like.
I've got one.
Go on.
In this film, he does a better job of the Transformers and the Autobots having their own identity, which is something he's failed at throughout this entire series.
Yeah, it's called Transformers, but it's all about the humans.
Yeah.
Like,
and also the
audiences need something to connect to, but
But also the Decepticons were always interchangeable. They were just random bad things that turned into planes or a tiger or whatever sort of thing. Whereas I knew who each of the characters was in this one, which has never happened in a Bay Transformer film for me. So, bing.
There we go.
But on the flip side of that, I didn't like the Suicide Squad style introduction of the Decepticons.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. Yeah. I can't remember any of the names, but it's like toilet flush and fucking rat whisker,
berserker fuck, bitch breath,
bitch.
Good things. We're supposed to be doing good things. I'm sorry.
I might have run it. I didn't mind Laura Haddock.
I like Laura Haddock.
Not in this.
I did not like anything about this. It felt like Michael Bay was really trying to make up for being shit to women. It wasn't really even an overcompensation. It was just, look, I can be better with female characters by doing this, and I'll objectify the guy whilst also still objectifying her, really. She's not really anything other than a love interest, so here you go. Yeah. But she's got brains. But Michael Bay doesn't really understand what it is to have intelligence, so he can't direct people well in those situations.
Yeah.
I do have a story about that, actually, but I'll leave that for later on. Sorry. So, yes, I'm glad you liked that, Sean. I once again did not like that.
And I did like the car chase through London.
Right.
Which can bring me on to my trivia, but you said you sound like you're going to say something.
Well, I've just got as a general positive in that, as much as I think that this film is better than the last one, not by much, but there isn't paedophile justification in this one, which is better.
Oh.
Which, in Age of Extinction, there's an entire scene where a guy pulls out a card and explains to Cade Yeager why it's okay for him to be fucking his daughter, because in a certain state, these are the reasons why it's okay to have a 17-year-old girlfriend. And that's why I'm doing your daughter, Cade Yeager. You can understand his anger, can't you?
Yeah, I understand.
So-
I would understand if he ripped his head off. Yeah.
So there was none of that, which is
That's
good.
That's always a positive.
The action is more coherent in general. Like, I usually see Michael Bay Transformers action scenes and now just see shapes and colours moving around, flying.
Noise.
It got towards that at the end, but the earlier action scenes with when Bumblebee split apart and things like that, and that car chase that you were mentioning, I thought they were way more coherent.
Yeah.
I knew where everything was. It was blocked well. There was just something when I'm picking out positives saying, it was blocked well, that scene. Fucking hell. But yeah, I knew, and he must have had someone saying, right, we really need to have some coherence in this film.
Yeah,
So people know where
we've
we are.
ignored the general consensus over the last 3 films. We maybe should listen to the audience.
Yeah. I mean, even in my notes, I just wrote down, I can see what's happening, which was a surprise to me.
I've just realised I've written in my notes here, music over the polo match, ha ha ha. But that's all I've written, so I don't know what I was getting at.
Ha ha ha, indeed, John.
That's what it was. It just sounded proper dramatic, like I was watching a car chase. But it was
All right,
a polo
okay.
match.
Well, I thought with The Rock as well, though, like, the score was all one tone. It never lets up, it's all just dun 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 dun. It's all that, all the way through.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm on edge. What's happening? Nothing. Polo match. All right, okay.
And why would an alien robot rob a bank? But then they explained it like 5 seconds after they said, but he didn't take anything. So I was all right, there we go.
Yeah,
I've got
just
my
for
answer
shit, just because he's a Decepticon. It's like, oh, come on. Those are some weak written villains, aren't they, there in that case, then?
Yeah. But I think that I'm running out of positive.
I have another.
Oh.
Who'd have thought? I've got 2 more. I sort of mentioned it earlier on, but the little girl gets to wear fully clothes and he doesn't focus on her ass.
That's, again, always a good thing.
Which I thought was good.
Yeah.
Well done, Michael Bay. You really are grown up, aren't you? And the effects in this were good.
Well, yeah.
Better than the last one, as I mentioned. Like, I mean, there's a reason for that. He had all the money in the world to play with, and he spent it all, and he put it on the screen. So I thought the effects were really good. In four, I went in for Dinobots because I wanted to see Dinobots, but they were so shit that it lost everything for me. In this, the Dinobots are still quite shit, like they regurgitate whole cop cars somehow or whatever.
Yeah.
But at least the effects were good, and they didn't half-arse the effects this time by saying blobs. End of good things for me. That. Any more good things for you?
Shall I go on to my trivia?
You go. Let's do some trivia right here. I've got some bad things as well.
Right, I've got plenty of bad things, but yeah, well,
let's do trivia.
John's Trivia Corner.
So, in the scenes where Hopkins went to Downing Street,
yeah,
it was actually filmed in front of 10 Downing Street.
All right.
So, I don't know how Bay swung that one, but he did. Because usually I watched this thing once where if things are filmed in front of 10 Downing Street, you can always tell that it's fake.
Yeah.
And I think it's to do with the windows on the door.
All right, okay.
Like there's the shape of the windows. They're always done. There's always one extra window, like the top that goes above.
This
the
isn't
number 10.
something that bothers me generally with geography, but since it's in the UK and they picked some quite iconic locations like Alnwick Castle, it really took me out of it when they were inside somewhere different, and then they walked out into Alnwick Castle grounds. And then when they were walking out the other side of the house, it was a completely different manor house. I'm like, pick Alnwick Castle if that's where you want them to live.
Yeah.
I'll accept that that's whatever castle you said it was, but don't have it 3 different locations and try and expect me to believe either it's all Alnwick Castle or some of it I think was Bamborough Castle as well. Because there was an aerial shot came in, and I think that was Bamborough Castle. I could be wrong, but it took me well out of it, that did.
Well, a lot of it was filmed in the northeast of England.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the car chase scene through London. Most of that was filmed in Newcastle.
Yeah, aye.
It brought Newcastle to a standstill because and obviously they didn't want the word getting out, so nobody really knew. But as soon as not like a lot of things get filmed up here, but it's usually like TV shows and like cop dramas. But when you find out a Transformers film's getting filmed in Newcastle, people descended.
Oh, I remember. I remember the day because it was all over Facebook, and people were going down to visit the cars in Northumberland when they were in Alnwick and things like that. So yeah,
because I remember I had my son at the park playing football, and then my partner at the time was like, "Oh, there's loads of commotion going over in Newcastle. Apparently they're filming something." Yeah. So I had a quick look, and I was like, "In me studying acting, I'm on a lot of extras pages for stuff in the Northeast." And nobody knew, not even like I don't think there was many extras needed for that. It was a car chase, but watching it, it's they disguise it quite well because I could recognise some parts of bits and stuff because where they were filming in Newcastle, a lot of it's in Grey Street. All the buildings are really like old, old looking buildings, so it could pass for it. The writer, Matt Holloway, is a fan of Downton Abbey, and he joked that they should get Jim Carter, who plays the butler, Mr. Carson, in Downton Abbey, to do the voice of Cogman.
Right.
Bay thought it was a great idea too, so got him to do it.
Bay sounds like the kind of guy that you just say something to and he's like, yes!
So Bay shot at Stonehenge for the Stonehenge scene, obviously. But when he said, "I want to do an explosion there," they're like, "Nope." So he had to end up building a replica set of Stonehenge just for the explosions part. Michael Bay didn't want to direct this one.
No, he didn't. And everyone was very excited about that. I remember that. And then he's like, "Oh, go on." Then everyone's like, fuck, well, I'm definitely not going this time.
Well, they've got Peter Cullen to blame, who persuaded him to do it.
Yeah.
He does the voice of
Optimus Prime.
Yeah. So that voice just went in my head.
Which sounded different this time because I wrote down Optimus Prime voice the same. Yes, it was. It was still him. But
And the last one, Blenheim Palace, was used as the Nazi headquarters.
Right.
That kicked up a stink because that's where Winston Churchill lived for a while.
Well, I remember, I forgot about the Nazi thing being in this. I was like, because remember when it was being made, it was in the trailer, and we were like, Hitler's going to be in this. I'm like, what the fuck, Hitler and King Arthur, and what are they doing now? I was very
confused.
I was like, is it time travel? What the fuck's going on? And then no, it was just one throwaway scene about Bumblebee helping to take down Hitler or something.
Yeah, it wasn't needed.
What a load of shit.
So obviously, and I get it, Winston Churchill, can't be considered as a hero of World War II, obviously. And then making his former residence the Nazi headquarters, I can get why people might have been a bit annoyed by that. But Winston Churchill's grandson, Sir Nicholas Soames, he lambasted the British press for sensationalising just a mere movie scene.
Well, it is. It's a building and it's a thing. Who gives a shit?
I mean, I get it, I get it, but even so, the thing that would annoy me more than anything is like, it's 2 seconds in the film, and it wasn't needed. So, what was the point in putting the swastikas on on Blenheim Palace?
Yeah, it was irrelevant. Yeah, I mean, I would if they were like,
and there could have been other buildings that could have used.
If it was in The Father or something, we're like, oh well done. If it was in Promising Young Woman or something like that, I'm like, oh, well, good film. But with it being this, I'd be up in arms as well. I'm like, you bastard.
So, another brief movie trivia bit. There was loads I could have got, but yeah.
And I know we're meant to find good things about this, but this is shite. Ready for some reviews?
Yes.
You doing anything else you want to say about this? Or
no, not about the film. So I was just going to say, when I was looking for trivia, I find most from IMDb, and there's a page where it's got trivia, and it's got quotes, like reviews. There's like goofs, and it's like there's 33 specific goofs or mistakes made in the film. I'm just thinking this one film is one big goof. But I point out 33 specific ones. It's just.
So, the reviews. The review of the reviews. We're going to review some reviews now. I'm going to read some reviews, and me and Sean are going to review them.
Reviews lost all meaning. I don't know.
That's this bit, I think. Where am I? Episode 10. Woohoo!
Yeah.
So, on Rotten Tomatoes, this got 15%. It didn't get very highly rated anyway. Obviously, because it's shit. The consensus was a cacophonous, thinly plotted, and boasting state-of-the-art special effects. The Last Night is pretty much what you'd expect from the 5th installment in the Transformers franchise. So no one's even surprised at this point. They're just like, whatever.
Guess what? It's shit.
Brett McKnight said, this is the cinematic equivalent of a crowd chanting, USA, USA, but with robots.
Yes, I like that one.
Reese Tarlin have got this one. It says, I get a little sad when I think what could have been if someone who gave even half a piss about the Transformer had been given the creative reins to this.
You could just tell he wanted to write half a fuck, not a piss, but he had to make it himself.
Half a bitch.
Yes.
Rachel Wagner. One of the disappointing aspects is visually, it seems a little lazy. Usually, this is at least something Bay gets right. I actually thought visually it was better than most of the Transformers series, so may disagree slightly with Rachel Wagner there. I don't know.
Again, I've heard like the one before, like you said, was the bit where it was just getting really bad and it was just a big blurry, noisy mess. Yeah. But I haven't seen that one, so. Yeah, I thought it looked all right visually.
Yeah. Daniel Barnes, I like this one. At a certain point, I simply surrendered to the last night. I don't think I had a choice. The film had me surrounded, and I just wanted to get out and see my family again.
Oh, yes. That's one of the best reviews I've ever heard about anything.
I really liked it. That's how I felt about Age of Extinction, though, as well. So, positive one, Matthew Bond of the Mail on Sunday UK. Amazingly, it all works, with Wahlberg bringing his laid-back presence and watchability, the excellence of Haddock providing wit as well as beauty, and Hopkins raising his familiar game sufficiently to provide as much gravitas as humour. Disagree fundamentally with every word of that review, Matthew Bond, but Sean may have some more common ground. Pablo Valasha says, the biggest neuron killer since tertiary syphilis.
Oh, yes.
I've got two more. William Bibbs Bibiani. I don't know if you listen to him, he's usually quite funny. Transformers The Last Night isn't so much a film as it is a catalogue of everything wrong with Western civilization.
Oh man, some of these critics are freaking funnier than half the stand-ups these days.
They're certainly funnier than Michael Bay for a freaking start. Bob Grimm of Reno News and Review simply says, definitive proof that Jesus doesn't like you.
Oh man.
And on that, oh no, I was about to say I take my leave, but I do have another one which leads into a Jason Isaacs story. So Ellie Glasner says, like a frat boy given $260 million to play with base drives to make military men mighty and the women foxy, while he mocks the scientists for their foolish facts and figures. Now, I don't know if you know about this, but Jason Isaacs tells a story about Armageddon.
Nope.
Jason Isaacs has this story about Armageddon where he went on...
I like him in Armageddon.
I like Jason Isaacs in absolutely everything. But Jason Isaacs does not like Michael Bay and would never work with him again. Jason Isaacs was originally up for the Bruce Willis role, but turned it down because he had another project. Right. And the studio said, I don't think you understand, Jason Isaacs. This is a Michael Bay picture. This is going to be big and all that sort of thing. He's like, I don't think you understand. I have loyalty to my cast and company that I'm currently signed on with. I will finish this project because I'm working with friends and and I don't want to do this big film. That's not how I work. So anyway, he ended up being the scientist in Armageddon.
Yeah.
End of take one. And Michael Bay comes up to Jason Isaacs and says, wow, man, when I said action, you were just like a scientist. And Jason Isaacs just turned around to him and says, yeah, acting, mate.
That's why you hired me.
So Jason Isaacs tells that story quite frequently. I haven't filled all the blanks. He tells it way better as it's his story. But I do like that an actor of his caliber was just like, fuck you, Michael Bay.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, as well, obviously, Armageddon was Michael Bay's third film, but you'd think he'd know what acting is by then. He would have seen some films. He clearly wanted to work with a camera because he directed a fuckload of music videos. So
but you can still see, as of this film, he still doesn't understand how to direct actors.
Well,
he just hopes that they turn up and know what they're doing. I mean, he's been fucking lucky, hasn't he, by the looks of it?
Oh, yeah.
I do like that one. Definitive proof that Jesus doesn't like you.
Yeah, that's a bad review if you've ever freaking heard one, but that's great. They were funny. I like them. But I wouldn't want to get those reviews if I was making films. But
No. Well, to be fair, I'd rather have that than it was all right.
Oh yeah, either be brutally honest and tell me exactly how crap it is, or tell me how much you loved it. Don't sit in the middle.
But I think, if anything, for the review section of this podcast is probably the best one we've had so far. I've really enjoyed those reviews. They were really good. The thing is, it was easy to find funny reviews of a very bad Michael Bay film.
Oh yeah.
Very difficult, is it? Anything else on this one, or
no? I'm just glad. I just hope if there is another Transformers, which it probably will be, because I just hope it carries on with the Bumblebee style of Transformers films, because Bay's it started off okay and then just dipped. It kind of went up a little bit more with the third one, and then just fell, and that was it.
It's gone off a cliff, hasn't it?
But Bumblebee kind of went on the who directed that again? Was the guy who directed Kubo and the Two Strings?
Yes, I can't remember his name though. Kubo and the Two Strings was really good.
I love that film, yeah. But yeah, so I hope if more Transformers comes out, they go a bit that way and get away from the noise and mess of the Michael Bay ones.
And I don't know what I want Michael Bay to do, because we're doing a director's series and we're focusing on Michael Bay. Like I say, maybe give him 10 million and just see what he can do with it. I'd love him to go back to doing something like The Rock. Or I don't know if he did Bad Boys. I haven't seen that third one yet, but something along those lines. Yeah. Just give him something. Give him a good script. Put Nicolas Cage in it. See what happens. We might get something, because I did like The Rock and I have liked Michael Bay films. So, where would you rate our directors that we've done so far? Then would you put them in a ranking? I've thought about it slightly. So I would go Nolan.
Right.
And then I'm torn, and I shouldn't be torn, should I? Because it should be easier. But I'm going to go Nolan, O'Connor, Spielberg, Bay. And you can't see this, listeners, but it dropped quite heavily for Bay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bay would go at the bottom. The thing is, I've seen a lot more Michael Bay films than I have Gavin O'Connor films. And I probably, like I said, Armageddon is unashamedly one of my favourite films.
I also think that Spielberg being in my third position is purely personal preference.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Technically, he's an amazing director. I just don't think he takes the chances of some others, so that's it.
Right,
his output is amazing, and his quality of film's fantastic.
So I probably would put Nolan top. I'll probably switch O'Connor and Spielberg on yours. So Spielberg would be second, then O'Connor, then
that's fair.
Then Bay.
Yeah.
But again, O'Connor, I've only seen two of his films, so it might change if I see some more. But
cool.
But yeah, I'm liking this directors. We'll see. We'll have to decide.
Let's carry on doing directors. We'll pick some more, and we'll let the listeners know before we do the next episode what we're going to do.
Yeah, and listeners, if you want to, if you can't, give us a director.
Yeah, send us a director, and that's probably a good segue, because that's what I call a segue, into my next order of business, which Sean is as yet unaware of.
Oh.
Listeners, surprise! Now that we're on episode 10, I've set something up so you can now phone us and leave us a voicemail that we can play on the podcast.
Oh!
If you go to www.speakpipe, that's speakpipe, pipe.com/wafflepod. There's a link in the description below, so wherever you're listening to this, look down 24601 and you will find a link to speakpipe/wafflepod. And there you can just go, press the button, record us a message, so give us recommendations, requests, questions, reviews. Review the films that we're going to review, and we can play your review on the podcast. 90 seconds maximum limit, so you'll have to be quicker than we are. Maybe we should fucking do it. So you can go to SpeakPipe and leave us a message, and then we can maybe read it out. We can play it on the podcast and do this. So we've had one already, so I'll just play it for Sean now. We can download them and actually insert them into the podcast, but I'm just going to pump this into my microphone just now. So this one has come from Stranger Danger.
Oh.
Congratulations on reaching 10 episodes, bitch.
That guy sounds like a real twat.
It's Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, right. He does a good impression of somebody I know.
End of podcast?
Yeah, I think so.
End of podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. If you've listened this far, because you've stuck with us for 10 episodes and a couple of hours each time.
Yeah,
so
what's wrong with
either
it?
this gets you through the day, or you really like the sound of our sexy ass voices. Remember to tell everyone about us. And thank you if you listened to us this far. And if you haven't listened so far, fuck you. But also, come in next time. Listen to this one. And listen to the next episodes that we're going to be doing. If you want to get in touch with us, you can leave us a message on SpeakPipe. That's www.speakpipe.com/wafflepod. I need to get faster at that. You can give us an email, w.a.f.f.l.e.p.d@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Whitty Analysis of Feature Films and Light Entertainment Podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Waffle Podcast 1, on YouTube, Waffle Podcast. And as we always say on this, is the director's cut brighter?
Goodbye.
Bitch. Everyone's saying bitch all the time. Just say fuck.